Of course, we got lots of things to protest, but you're going to get an announcement. You're going to get news of an attack some morning. You're going to wake up, and you're going to hear about an attack. And I heard the leader of Iran say yesterday, you punch us in the nose, it's full all-out war.
Yeah. I mean, this is just unbelievable stuff.
Do you have some more there? I'm going to share Omar's comments, which are almost laughable, but so true.
Actually, I don't have any more on that. I can't stand reading any more of the Financial Times because they're just backing Saudi Arabia's play at this point, if you want my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree that's the spin in there, but believe me, Omar's not. Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan
Omar on Monday dismissed President Donald Trump's ability to navigate escalating tensions with Iran, pointing to as if we need proof that we need not trust Donald Trump's ability to navigate any crisis. My words.
And where are you reading this from?
This is from CNN Politics.
Okay. And who's the author?
This is Paul LeBlanc.
Okay.
She questioned his ability to navigate escalating tensions with Iran, pointing to the controversy over Hurricane Dorian's path and whether it would hit Alabama. Congress has a constitutional right to declare war. The president does not have it. Let's remember that as we go forward.
Yes.
The Secretary of State doesn't have it either.
Only Congress can declare war or read your Constitution, folks.
And I love Tulsi's remarks here, and excuse the terminology, but she said, we are not Saudi Arabia's bitch.
Yep.
They don't have the ability to declare war either, Omar, a Minnesota Democrat, told CNN's Aaron Burnett on Out Front. I think we need to make sure that the American people understand that this administration that lies about weather maps, lies about crowd sizes. I could go on. I could spend the rest of the show about what they lie on, right? But nonetheless, the most contemporary issue is lying with a marker about a weather map. They cannot be trusted to give us any information or full information. We need to be able to make a decision with the magnitude of whether or not we should be going to war with Iran or not. Incredible. We're not in a position to think about another endless war, and I really hope that my colleagues in Congress are going to pressure this administration to take a step back and figure out how we should use diplomacy in the de-escalating of the situation. Omar's invocation of past Trump administration falsehoods comes after Trump told reporters Monday that it's looking like Iran was behind this weekend's attack on oil facilities in Saudi Arabia, but suggested it may be too early to say for sure. The freshman Democrat was specifically referencing Trump's multiple false claims that Hurricane Dorian was going to hit Alabama, a controversy from just after his inauguration in 2017 when he lied about the crowd size. Trump said Monday he's not looking to get into a new conflict, but sometimes you have to, he said. On Sunday night, Trump...
Really?
Yeah. On Sunday night, Trump tweeted that the U.S. is locked and loaded, depending on verification.
Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah. A refrain that Mark Short, the vice president's chief of staff, told reporters Monday morning, I hope does not refer to military action. I think that locked and loaded is a broad term. Well, I don't know how you take it. I think the Americans take it the way it's intended, right? Mm-hmm. You're ready to go at it. And for him to try and soft soap that and talks about the realities that we're all far safer and more secure domestically from energy dependence, Short said. As Trump gears up for 2020 election battle, a notable lack of public trust and information coming from the White House, such as the falsehoods Omar referenced, continue to dog his administration. Yeah, I guess falsehoods may have something to do with a build-up to war.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about Colin Powell? Do you remember his actual phrases? As I'm going to get those and share those in a minute. But
yeah, while you're looking that up, I am going to play a little bit of George Carlin because we haven't done it in a while. You folks need to realize that the U.S. is a warlike people.
Well, we like war. We like war. We're a warlike people. We like war because we're good at it. And you know why we're good at it? Because we get a lot of practice. This country's only 200 years old, and already we've had 10 major wars. We average a major war every 20 years in this country, so we're good at it. And it's a good thing we are. We're not very good at anything else anymore. Huh? Can't build a decent car, can't make a TV set or a VCR worth of Got no steel industry left, can't educate our young people, can't get health care to our old people, but we can bomb the out of your country, all right? Huh? We can bomb the out of your country, all right? Especially if your country is full of brown people. Oh, we like that, don't we? That's our hobby. That's our new job in the world, bombing brown people. Iraq, Panama, Grenada, Libya, you got some brown people in your country. Tell them to watch the f*** out, or we'll goddamn bomb them. Well, when's the last white people you can remember that we bombed? Can you remember the last white? Can you remember any white people we've ever bombed? The Germans, those are the only ones, and that's only because they were trying to cut in on our action. They wanted to dominate the world. Bullshit, that's our f***ing job. That's our f***ing job.
You know, Carlin's got it right. You know, I could go on playing it because this is a 7-minute clip, but I think I've made my point that this is nothing new, folks. This is just the same record being played again. The lyrics may have changed a little bit, but it's still the same tune.
Does this sound familiar, Darren? Colin Powell delivered a presentation making the case for war with Iraq at the United Nations 15 years ago. As much criticism as Powell received for this, he's called it a painful and something that will always be a part of my record. It hasn't been close to what's justified Powell, who was Secretary of State under President Bush, was more than just horribly mistaken, my words now. He effing lied. He fabricated, is a nice word. He fabricated evidence and ignored repeated warnings that what he was saying was false. Unfortunately, Congress never investigated Powell's use of the intelligence he was given. What? We entered into the most costly foreign policy mistake in U.S. history, and Congress never substantiated Powell's assertions? Unbelievable.
Of course not.
So we didn't know many of the specifics. They didn't know any of the specifics. Even so, what did reach the public record of other ways is extremely damning. While the corporate media has never taken a close look at his record, we can go through Powell's presentation line by line, not which we're going to do right now, by the way, to demonstrate the chasm between what he knew and what he told the world. As you'll see, there's quite a lot. Powell's speech can be found on the State Department websites. All of the sources are linked below. I'd like to read just a couple of them. Powell, my colleagues, every statement I make today is backed up by sources. Scores of solid sources. These are not assertions. What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence.
Can I play the bowl? He's getting really antsy over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't hold it in very well. He's
couple more here for the listeners.
Yeah.
Let me wipe that off the table.
Yeah, there you go.
Later, regarding whether Iraq had reconstructed a nuclear weapons program, Powell said, there is no doubt in my mind.
Oh, really?
That's in public. What about in private? According to Larry Wilkerson, Powell's chief of staff, here's what Powell was thinking at the time. Wilkerson and Powell had walked into my office, and he said words to this effect. I wonder how we'll all feel if we put 500,000 troops in Iraq and march from one end of the country to the other and find nothing.
Yeah.
That's what Powell really was thinking. That's what he said to Wilkinson, but to the American public, to the United Nations, he said, there is no doubt in my mind. Well, you must have somewhat of a doubt when you said, what's it going to look like if we march from one end of the country to the other and find nothing?
Because he knew there was nothing to find. That's why he said it.
Fabrication, my pink butt.
Mm-hmm.
Powell, one more. It makes me as quite odd. It strikes me, as quite odd that these aluminum tubes are manufactured to a tolerance that far exceed U.S. requirements for comparable rockets. That was proven to be totally, as all of it, totally and completely bogus. The aluminum tubes. So when you see this week on Fox the pictures of the wrinkled metal side of a missile supposedly from Iran, remember the aluminum tubes. Remember, it's pure. We got the bull crap ready to fly. It's pure bull crap.
It sure
was
is.
then. It is now.
Yep.
U.S. intelligence has no credibility of being honest. What it does have credibility and a history of is lining up with hawkish objectives. That's what our intelligence does.
Absolutely it does. And speaking of fabrication, Jack, I want to move on to our next story, and that's an update on the General Motors strike. Workers walked off the job at 11:59 p.m. Sunday evening and have gone on strike against General Motors for better wages, the end of the two-tier system, better insurance, etc., etc. And, of course, now GM has taken away the insurance from the striking workers. Well, guess what? There's a way that you can take that tool away from employers, and it's called single-payer universal health care. Ding, 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 ding. You want to get rid of the power of the employers? Right there, it is. One simple concept. Single-payer universal health care.
Yep.
And, of course, there's only one candidate that actually talks about true single-payer universal health care. Not watered down, not privatization meeting the government. Nope. It full single-payer. It's Bernie Sanders, nobody else. Period, end of story.
This may be a weak analogy, but I don't really know how a pregnancy test works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I don't know if some little red dot is lit up or a light goes off.
It depends on what test you get. You'll get one that'll have two lines, one will have a plus sign. It really depends on what they manufacture.
Well, if we had such a test for veracity when it comes to who's behind universal health coverage, and you put the 10 on the stage, that's Bernie and the 9 dwarfs, put them up on the stage, and imagine a test that you put into their mouth or in their ear or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Are you really for universal health coverage? Here we go, Kamala. Come here, Kamala. Open up. Beep. Oh, you're lying. Beep, beep. You'd have 9 beeps in a row. Forget the raising your hand.
Yep.
The litmus test remains of a real progressive. The easiest test you have, you don't have to buy it at a drugstore, is the line drawn between those who are for universal health coverage and those who aren't. And there ain't one. Mm-hmm. There's not one except our man Bernie, who I think just pulled ahead in New Hampshire over Biden.
Yep.
The fleas are jumping off Biden onto Warren thanks to the DNC help and impetus.
Exactly. Well, I want to get to this story. This is by Jerry White, writing for the World Socialist website, which, by the way, they've got a fantastic podcast. If you get a chance to listen to it, go to WSWS.org.
Used to have one right here in town.
They used to air right in this town. Then again, so did we, but that's another story for another time. All right, this is, again, Jerry White, writing for the World Socialist website. This was put out earlier this morning on September 20th. The strike by 47,000 General Motors workers in the U.S., which entered its 5th day today, is the longest walkout at the company since the 67-day strike by 460,000 GM workers in 1970. It is also the largest industrial strike in the U.S. in years and follows a wave of walkouts by teachers, supermarket, hotel, and healthcare workers. On the picket lines, auto workers remain defiant despite the company's decision to cut off medical benefits. Local media reports say workers and family members picking up medicines, visiting doctors, or even recovering from surgeries found out all of a sudden that they were uninsured. Yeah, real class move there, GM.
Darren, was that going to expire at the end of the month? What was the story on that? Is GM lying when they said it was going to expire? And of course,
it's immediate.
It's what?
Immediate.
No, I mean the contract itself.
No, the contract's done. That ended the 14th or 15th.
Okay.
Yeah. General Motors is digging in for a long fight. It has begun hiring strike breakers in Missouri, Texas, and the suburbs of Flint, Michigan. Let me stop there for a quick second, because we don't call them strike breakers around here. We call them scabs, because that's what they are. They are a scab on society.
Isn't the report that there was a carload of cars being taken out of the factory, driven by scabs?
We'll get to that. By the way, Flint, Michigan is the historic birthplace of the United Auto Workers. It's also the site of the 1936 and 37 sit-down strike, which led to the formation of the UAW. Yeah, back in 36 and 37, it wasn't just sit-down, and they tried to take the plant over, the corporate did. They found out the hard way, you're not going to take the plant from the worker.